Welcome back to Serenity Speaks, Conversations on Wellness. We're elated to bring you the eagerly awaited part 2 of our enlightening conversation with the incredible Pat Reeves. In this episode, Pat takes us on a captivating journey through the realms of holistic health, unveiling the mysteries of kinesiology, the Alexander technique, herbalism, dousing, sprouting, digestive supplement enzymes, and much more. Prepare to be enchanted as Pat shares her wealth of knowledge on these transformative practices, weaving together the threads of exercise and nutrition to create a tapestry of well-being. This isn't just a podcast episode. It's a gateway to unlocking the secrets of optimal health and vitality. So join us as we delve into the profound wisdom of Pat Reeves in part 2. Trust us, you do not want to miss this.
Kinesiology is interesting because it's a way that there's multiple ways you can work with it, but how I worked, the bit I used was for food testing. So, and you can test babies and children when they are in contact with their mother or their father. So they may not want to do it on their own, but if they are connected, you can work on the parents. So I've done a lot of different types of food testing, sensitivity testing, and dousing is another one that I used to use massively. I have an affinity for dousing. Don't ask me why, but dowsing is quite interesting because you can use a beautiful crystal on a chain. I can work with a bike chain and a padlock. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it goes round, basically. So you have signals with it. So what I used to do with patients is I would hold whatever I was using, usually a little crystal on a chain, and I would say, show me yes. And so my personal signal for yes would be a clockwise turn. So it would turn clockwise. And then when I said, show me no, it would go anti-clockwise. And then I said, show me maybe. And that was a definite swing between myself and whomever was in front of me. So when we did food testing, so I would get food held, the patient would hold the food next to their solar plexus because that was the area that I was trained in. You can do it in your mouth, but there's some things like you might not want to hold coffee grounds in your mouth while you're being tested. So it was interesting. They used to put the food against their solar plexus, which is like belly button level. And I would douse, I would hold it and I would say, is this food good for me? And they already knew what my signals was or were. So if the body could not work with the food, my pendulum would say no. Now the interesting thing, what I built up for years and years, was giving them digestive enzymes next to the solar plexus and then the food, and then ask the question again. And mostly I got a maybe, and sometimes I got a yes, because the body was thinking, if you give me this, I can work with that food. I used to do that with living foods. I mean, I produce all my own supplements. Digestive enzyme supplements are more powerful than living foods because living foods have a plethora of other things in them. But it was also a way of getting patients to take up the practice of sprouting their food because they realise that, well, I love cheese, but she says, her pendulum says, cheese is terrible for me. But if I put a handful of alfalfa sprouts and then the cheese, my body says, maybe I can tolerate cheese if you give me this. Because the reasons for sensitivities is the body does not have the wherewithal of digesting and absorbing them. It's missing things. So if you provide those missing things, you can, I'm not saying you can eat a loaf of bread 7 days a week, but you can tolerate things in smaller quantities if the body has. So basically what you're doing is optimising the immune system. That's what I endeavour to do for people.
So the digestive enzymes are
They are little capsules, and obviously they are quite potent. So they have all the enzymes that the body needs, whether it's breaking down protein, fats or carbohydrates. So what tends to happen when you eat something, the body stops healing you, because you have to know that the body cannot heal you while you are digesting and absorbing. So it down tools. It thinks, right, food. I have to identify, have I seen this food before? Do I know what to do with it? What internal chemicals do I need to go and get to break it down? Now, if you use supplemental digestive enzymes, instead of it going all through that procedure to work out what it needs to bring to the stomach to break the food down, it realises that I don't have to go and get anything because it's already here. So now you get much enhanced digestion and absorption. So the body works with the foods so much better. And before if you weren't using supplemental enzymes, the body thinks, right, wheat, I need to go and get wheat enzyme. But because people eat wheat massively, in massive amounts every day, then the body invariably hasn't got wheat enzyme. So it has to bring something else back, which doesn't break it down so well. And that's why there's a lot of problems with wheat and dairy, because they're overused foods. So supplemental enzymes are very good. You don't have to take them all the time, but it's something that I do for new patients, along with beneficial flora, because that's a massive part of your immune system. And then they will use those invariably for about a month, and then I will test all their minerals and essential fatty acids. So I'm expecting, having given them an individual plan, that the better food that I'm giving them than they had before they came to see me, is being very well used in the body, which will reflect, hopefully, on that mineral test. And if it doesn't, I can readjust things so they get more of whatever mineral is missing or out of sync with another mineral. So that's mainly how I initially work. But it all depends on what I'm working with. And the taste test, so it's a very diluted potency, rather like homeopathy. And so the person takes a few sips of, it's like less than a teaspoon, and they hold it in their mouth for about 20 seconds, swallow it, and the body will instantly know that if you give me a lot of this mineral, I don't need it because I've got masses of it. So it'll give the person a certain taste. So mineral testing is incredibly important, because if your minerals are skewed, you are definitely not well, and you don't absorb your vitamins very well. So mineral testing is at the seat of health, and as is essential fatty acids, which virtually everybody is very low on omega-3, unless they are supplementing or eating vast amounts of fish, which may not be such a good idea since the oceans are now polluted. So, and I can do stool transit testing, I can do stomach acid testing with really simple things as a non-invasive. Alexander is all about manipulating how you sit, how you stand, how you hold yourself. And so there are a lot of different things you can do to correct posture problems that the person never even knew they had. If you're bent over your food, your stomach is not in a situation to be able to process things. So posture is very, very important, and it's something that I think you have to leave yourself notes around the house or the office, like sit up straight or stand up straight. One of the team physio from Brawler, the first powerlifting association I lifted for, if I got injured and I went to see him, he would notice that I always had the shoulder bag over the same shoulder. And I got told off for that because that makes you stand differently. And so then I taught myself to only have it on one shoulder for a certain amount of time and then change it. Now, of course, we have things you have on your back, which is a lot better because there the weight is even on you. It's like a habit like crossing legs, which is really bad for your circulation because you will always cross that same leg. You will never do it the other way around. So whichever leg you get used to crossing, you're putting additional weight on the veins and everything, cartilage, tissues on the side where you've got the weight of your leg on. So I try and get people, if they do cross legs in front of me, to try and do crossing ankles, which is much less hazardous. There's no real weight going on there. Things that I thought would be helpful to people when I began practicing. Yes. You just need little reminders. That's why I think notes around the place, because it's not on your agenda with all the things we have to do in our lives now, to actually hold yourself well. I mean, like simple things like if you clean your teeth twice a day, okay, it's 2 minutes, but for 2 minutes you can concentrate on tummy in, shoulders back. While you're on the mobile phone, which I hardly ever use, one of the reasons I'm not too keen on mobile phones is with the previous brain tumour. When I first had a mobile phone, it used to make my ears hot, and I used to have to keep changing it until the other ear got hot, and I'm thinking, this is not a really good thing for me. But yes, I mean, it's the same thing with getting people to become more active. So I'll say, okay, if somebody rings you up and you're on the phone for half an hour, walk up and down your lounge, pull your tummy in, do bicep curls with the hand you're not holding the phone with. So these things don't take up any more of your time in your life. You're doing it anyway. So it's like we all seem to wait for the same things, like the kettle to boil, the washing machine to go off, the iron to heat up. If you put your kettle on 6 times a day, you can hold onto your kitchen sink and do 30 half squats while the kettle is boiling. So it's amazing how much exercise you can get at home. You don't need to go to a gym. You can have a door bar across the sides of the door of a room that you keep going in. So you train yourself to do 4 pull-ups before I go in and 4 when I come out. So over the day, you can probably do 100.
Wow.
So it's free. It doesn't take up any of your time. You haven't got to get changed or pack a bag and drive to the gym. So, you know, gyms are wonderful, but they're not for everybody. When people fill my questionnaire in, when I take them on as a new patient, it's fascinating that there's a page and a half of symptoms, and people with something serious, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, hardly tick any of those symptoms because their body is working overdrive to try and keep everything on track because it knows there's a big problem. Now, when people come with lesser things, though very irritating to them, so whether it's menopausal symptoms, you know, whether it's acne or a skin problem, something that is not going to kill them but makes their life miserable, they actually tick almost everything on there. And what I have concluded is that this person's body is just crying out for help. It's like it's really struggling. So I can sort of pigeonhole them as vertically sick. So they work, they look after the children, they do all the housework, but they never feel 100% fit. So this is the time that they need to take action. And if they ignore those, so that, you know, if you keep getting headaches and you keep taking aspirin and it goes away, eventually your body's saying, I don't have an aspirin deficiency. I need you to look at what you're doing to me that makes me hurt and you hurt so much. So if you don't listen, if you keep doing the aspirins and whatever, the body eventually will put you horizontally sick. So now you've had a heart attack or whatever because the body cannot cope anymore. Now it's really hard to get horizontally sick people even to vertically sick. So they're sort of functioning but never absolutely perfect. So, you know, this is the time we need to listen more to our bodies and take action.
Yeah, so I mean that's really interesting because it's almost like all the niggly things that are going on are
Yes.
giving us this warning.
Yes,
Hello.
exactly. Yes. Well, you can do lots of things horizontal. You know, I've got quite a few people in wheelchairs who can do exercises. If they can't move their legs, they can do all their upper body exercises. In the same way as those wonderful people who do the London Marathon in wheelchairs. Yeah, they're still doing a lot of exercise, even though they can't really function away from that wheelchair. But, you know, even just lying down, you know, you can lift your leg up or start with lifting your heel off the bed and just begin to, you know, you have to start somewhere. But yes, certainly if you don't use it, you will lose it is 100% spot on. My youngest son, who's now, he's left Google now, they're headhunting him back, but he's working with the guy that runs Facebook. And he's incredibly clever. And when he was little, he did all the martial arts, he did all the running, he did some weights, but it never really appealed to him. Martial arts was his thing, so he's black belt now, or then. But it was interesting, the warm-up, I used to go and watch him take each consecutive belt. And the warm-up they put those children through, I'm thinking they'll be half dead before they even come to do the exam. But what Damien was very good at was doing that yoga pose where you cross your legs, sit on the floor, cross your legs, and he could get his knees on the floor. And he could hold that pose. So holding the pose with the legs crossed on the floor, and at the start of that, I would say, Damien, go and do that pose on the floor. He said, oh, must I, Mum? And so he would do it, fine, and say, great, that's okay. And then we'd leave it 2 or 3 weeks, and he would struggle to get those knees down. When he went to uni, and came back here, and holidays and whatever, this was Cambridge, you got double first at Cambridge.
Wow.
After 6 months, it was like, oh, Mum, I can't do any, I can't even cross them now. So it just shows when you stop doing something, your body seizes up, or that particular part of your body will seize up. So, exercise is as important as what you choose to put in your mouth. It is not something you take up to lose 5 pounds to get in your bikini. The body needs to move. To keep it well, you have to move. And exercise is really, true exercise is when your heart is beating way more than it normally is if you were sitting in a chair. So, you could hardly call, me doing bicep curls with no weight exercise. That won't even make my heart do anything. So, I've always said that human beings need a minimum of 30 minutes of exercise every day that they're alive on this planet. Now, it doesn't have to be half an hour in one go, which is why I've taken the idea of exercising at home. So, because if you are at home, then it's no problem to do half an hour from when you're awake in the morning to when you go to bed. Because, you can just be doing half squats holding the kitchen sink. You can hang on to something and do lunges. You can do pull-ups on a cheapo bar between your door frame. Even without weights, you can do wall presses. So you move your feet further and further back, so you put more pressure on stretching the chest as you go in and out, and you're holding on the wall. So there's lots of simple things you can do to keep that activity going. If you pull your tummy in, so you're thinking of pulling everything in through the belly button, if you like, and that will protect your back. So obviously there are very specific exercises you can do, like side planks and planks on the floor and whatever. But they've got an ingenious thing now that I haven't got, but I like the principle of it. And what it is a little band you put round your waist, and it has a battery in it. And if you're standing perfectly or sitting perfectly with your tummy in, it's silent. The moment you release your tummy, it buzzes to remind you must pull this tummy in. I mean, obviously you don't wear that 24/7, you drive yourself nuts. But, if you have it on for something like 20 minutes, half an hour a day, you get used to being in that position, even when you haven't got it on. So, they've got very clever ideas up now. But, the whole thing comes down to the amount of time you sit is enormous now. to what it was. 100 years ago we were all out there digging the garden, growing our own food. Now we just have it come in and delivered, so you don't even have to walk around the shops for it. So people are spending 8 hours a day in front of the computer. Then they're spending 5 hours in an armchair watching TV. And obviously since that accident, then my lungs are not good enough to do aerobic work now. But I have the Orbitrek, which is a motion bike that you can, when you're sitting down, you can move your legs and you can use bands while you're doing it without getting out of breath. So obviously without all the exercise I used to do, then my circulation isn't as good. So I will use those circulation help things. And again, they don't take up any time. If you want to watch the news for half an hour, instead of lying on the armchair eating a packet of biscuits or something, you can sit on the armchair, but your hands aren't free to eat biscuits because you're doing band work while you're moving your legs. So, there's ways around most things, and I've had to find a lot of them recently.
As we conclude part 2 of our conversation with the incredible Pat Reeves, we hope you found inspiration and valuable insights into the expansive world of holistic health. The next episode and final part of my conversation with Pat Reeves of Food Alive is next Sunday, so set yourself a reminder. Pat's remarkable journey of resilience post-accident. Discover how she has continued to lead an active life and secure her reign as a world champion powerlifter. Pat generously shares tips on diet, holistic health, and unveils a crucial discussion on a new health hazard that has silently taken the stage. Don't miss out on the next instalment of this empowering series. Follow, download, and share Serenity Speaks to stay connected with Pat's journey and glean transformative insights for your own path to wellness. Pat's book, A Living Miracle, Fight Cancer at the Cellular Level and Win, is available from her website. That's foodalive.org. FOODALIVE.org. Download from the website and upload into your minds and hearts. It's powerful. Thank you once again for being part of the Serenity Speaks community. Until next time, take care, stay well, and embrace the journey to a life of serenity and vitality.